Hello, and welcome to another episode of Music with Mr. T. In today's lesson, we're going to be learning about harmony, texture, and the 12-bar blues. You're going to be able to analyze the music and understand why composers use different compositional techniques, and you're also going to help me learn a little bit more about chord progressions and about harmony. So, let's get started. Harmony refers to the pattern of intervals and chords in a composition. It is also the ways in which chords and intervals are related to one another, and the ways in which one interval or chord can be connected to each other. Intervals are a pair of notes sounded at the same time. It is also the distance between two different notes. For example, here is the interval of a major third, which we'll learn about more later in today's lesson. It is a pair of notes, two notes, a C and an E, sounded at the same time, and they are a skip apart. Harmony refers to the pattern of intervals and chords in a composition. It is also the ways in which chords and intervals are related to one another, and the ways in which one interval or chord can be connected to each other. Intervals are a pair of notes sounded at the same time. It is also the distance between two different notes. For example, here is the interval of a major third, which we'll learn about more later in today's lesson. It is a pair of notes, two notes, a C and an E, sounded at the same time, and they are a skip apart. Improvisation, or to improvise, means the creation of music in the course of the performance, making it up as you go along, playing or performing something that is not written down. For example, there is no music here in front of me, but I'm going to play a little something, a little improvisation for you now. Wasn't anything written down, just improvised it and made it up right there on the spot. Here is another look at scale degrees from musictheory.net. Understanding how these scale degrees work will help us understand more in our 12-bar blues when we talk about it shortly. So, as we know, each scale degree has a special name, and the first note is always going to be called the tonic. In this case, for today's lesson, our first note is here, and our tonic is going to be C, middle C. Looking next, the fifth note is called the dominant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth note is G, that's correct. Dominant. Tonic C, dominant G. And the fourth note is called the subdominant, because remember that prefix sub means under, so this is underneath the note. G here, F here. Here are our musical ABCs and how they relate to the different scale degrees on our scale. If we look from left to right, we notice that the first note we're going to look at is C, and that is labeled 1. D is labeled 2. E is labeled 3. F, 4. G, 5. A, 6. B, 7. And C, 1 or 8 for the octave. Above those numerals, we can see that there are Roman numerals, which we will use later when we talk about thirds, fourths, fifths, as well as the 12-bar blues. The first interval we're going to take a look at, the distance between the first and the second note, is going to be the major third. Looking at this one, we see the major third, if we start on C, is the third note up, is E. C1, D2, E3, the major third. Taking a look here at it on the staff, we have middle C, third note up is that E. Here is what the major third looks like on the piano. We notice our thumb is on the first key, C, and our middle finger is on the third key, E. Here's that major third again. Here is the interval of a perfect fourth. Starting again on C, up to D2, E3, F4. These notes are a perfect fourth apart. Closer look at how it seems on the board, and then on the staff. Middle C, first space F. And then looking at it on the keyboard, same thing. C, 2, 3, 4, F. The perfect fourth. Here we have the interval of a perfect fifth. Starting on C, the G is 5 up from C again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here it is on the staff. Middle C, second line G. And on the keyboard, thumb on C1, pinky on G5. Here is the basic 12-bar blues form in C major. First, we're going to count and notice that there are 12 bars or 12 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, with as many repeats as necessary. Now, I've written in the chords for educational purposes, but normally our chart will just feature those Roman numerals that we learned about on the musical ABCs and scale degrees. In this case, 1 is the chord of C, 4 is the chord of F, and 5 is the chord of G. If we take a closer look right here, you notice that there is a G7, and that is just to help us get back to the 1 that is here. Now, let's take that 12-bar blues form and look at the three chords, the 1, C, the 4, F, and the 5, the G or G7. Here's what the 1 sounds like just by itself. Here's what the 4 sounds like, the F. And here's the 5, the G. And if we add the 7th, that brings us back to the 1. Now, typically, there is a large group of instruments. There's some that are playing the beat, some have the bass, some have the embellishments or the improvisation, the part where we're making it up. But because it's just a piano here, you're going to have a little bit of both. So I'll start off with just the basic form. My bass is played in the left hand, and my right hand is going to be playing some of the melody as well as the improvisation. Here we go, we have the 1. Still on the 1. We're going to the 4. This is the F chord. Back to the 1. Go to the 5. To the 4. And back to the 1. Now you'll notice in that second part, we changed up the last bit of chords a little bit. We went to a 5 of 5 and a couple of different things, but that's a little bit about improvisation. That's what making it up as we go along is. So it's this form that we're learning about is not just a concrete form. It gives us a skeleton, a structure of where we are wanting to go, and how we arrive at some of those places is totally up to you. melody that you might already know. By itself, the melody line is identifiable, but it's not very interesting. When we add those harmony, those chords, we make it more interesting. So the more we add to it, the more depth we give it, the more it sounds fuller. As well as scale degrees and intervals. I'm going to post a link in the video below so that you can go and practice some more of your lines and spaces to help you really understand better how we are going to use these 12-bar blues. I will also include a link for you to practice your intervals, as well as a link for you to access an on-screen keyboard. Thanks for watching.